What if I told you that Dave Chappelle just exposed the one funeral that was never supposed to make headlines? The private, silent goodbye to Charlie Kirk, a moment meant for mourning, has erupted into a firestorm of betrayal, rage, and humiliation. And at the center of it all, Candace Owens, being physically escorted out of the church. While the widow stood trembling, her face streaked with tears and fury. But that's not even the most shocking part. According to a secret voice memo Dave Chappelle leaked from someone inside the service, Candace didn't just attend uninvited, she apparently brought a camera crew. And when she tried to defend herself, the widow shouted words so explosive. The entire room fell into stunned silence. What Chappelle revealed next has social media in chaos, because he claims he has proof that this wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was revenge, a deep, personal vendetta that started months before Charlie Kirk's passing. And it all leads back to a political betrayal that split their circle in half, from private messages and deleted tweets to a leaked voicemail that's now being authenticated. The story is spiraling out of control. And Dave Chappelle's latest stand-up snippet just added fuel to an already burning scandal. So what really happened inside that funeral? Why did the widow break down screaming Candace's name? And how did Dave Chappelle get involved in something this dark? Let's start from the beginning. Before we dive into the chaos of that funeral day, you need to understand just how deep this story runs and why Dave Chappelle, of all people, is the one who ended up leaking details no one else dared to share. Because this isn't just a case of a friend gone rogue or a misunderstanding at a service. This is a web of egos, politics, loyalty, and the kind of emotional explosion that could only have been brewing for years. Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens weren't just political allies. They were, at one point, considered inseparable. Both young, articulate, and fiercely controversial, they built their empires side by side. Candace was the firebrand, bold, outspoken, always ready for a fight. Charlie was the strategist, calm, calculated, the man behind the machine. Together, they represented a new, loud, unfiltered generation of conservative influence. Behind the scenes, though, insiders always whispered that things were never as smooth as they looked on camera. Candace liked the spotlight, said one source close to Turning Point USA. But Charlie liked control. They clashed quietly, and more than once, it got personal. The breaking point reportedly came in early 2024, when Candace publicly criticized one of Charlie's statements about a university funding scandal. He didn't take it lightly, one former staffer later revealed. He felt she embarrassed him on purpose. After that, something changed. By mid-2024, the two stopped appearing together entirely. Candace pivoted to her own projects, launching a streaming platform for uncensored news. While Charlie doubled down on his foundation's expansion, fans noticed the silence, the missing joint appearances, the awkward pauses whenever one was asked about the other. Still, no one imagined it would end like this. When Charlie Kirk unexpectedly passed away in late September, a sudden cardiac event. According to reports, the political world went into shock. Tributes poured in from every side of the aisle. Dave Chappelle, who had met Charlie years earlier at a college freedom of speech forum, even posted a surprisingly heartfelt message on Instagram. "We didn't agree on everything, but I respected his hustle. Rest easy, man." But among the hundreds of posts and condolences, one name was missing: Candace Owens. For days, her social media went silent. Not a tweet, not a story, not even a retweet of the condolences flooding the platform. Fans began speculating immediately. Was she in shock? Was she being respectful in private? Or was there something much darker brewing beneath the surface? Then, 5 days later, she broke her silence with a post that stunned everyone. Sometimes silence is the loudest respect you can give to the truth. That one line set the internet ablaze. People dissected it, debated it, and drew their own conclusions. Some said she was mourning in her own way. Others claimed it was a subtle jab at the Kirk family. That truth referred to something the public didn't know, and according to leaked messages that surfaced weeks later. They might have been right. A private group chat among Turning Point alumni, leaked by an anonymous insider, included a message allegedly from Charlie's widow, Rebecca Kirk, written just days before the funeral. "If Candace shows up, I swear to God, I will lose it. She has no right to be there after what she did." No one knew exactly what she did, but whispers spread like wildfire. One journalist tweeted, "There's something ugly happening behind the scenes." The widow's anger is personal, not political. Meanwhile, Dave Chappelle, who was known for blending comedy with cultural commentary, had started teasing a mysterious new bit in his upcoming stand-up special, titled "The Ones Who Smile at Funerals." He posted on X, "Some funerals ain't about the dead. They're about the living pretending." At the time, nobody connected it to Charlie Kirk. But after the funeral, when reports began circulating that Candace Owens was forcibly removed, the internet put the pieces together instantly. According to attendees, the service started out somber and private, about 60 invited guests, held at a church outside Nashville. The widow, Rebecca, sat front row, flanked by family. Dave Chappelle was reportedly seated quietly in the back, not as a performer, but as a friend of one of the eulogists. Everything was calm, until midway through the ceremony, when a whisper rippled through the crowd. Candace Owens had arrived, wearing all black and oversized sunglasses. She walked down the center aisle as murmurs grew louder. "You could feel the tension," one attendee told an outlet later. It was like a storm cloud entered the room. Rebecca reportedly turned her head sharply the moment she saw Candace. Her expression went from shock to disbelief, and then to visible anger. Witnesses claim she muttered something under her breath before leaning toward her sister and saying, "Get her out." But Candace didn't leave. Instead, she took a seat 3 rows behind the family. Within minutes, security approached her discreetly at first, but as voices started to rise, the quiet murmurs turned into chaos. And here's where things get stranger. Dave Chappelle, later, said in his leaked audio that what he saw next didn't feel like grief, it felt like unfinished business, exploding in real time. He described the widow standing up, trembling, pointing at Candace, and shouting, "You are not welcome here. After what you said about my husband, not today." Gasps echoed through the church. Cameras were put away. Some guests left their seats, and according to one of Dave's crew members, who later verified the details, Candace stood frozen, whispering, "I came to pay my respects," before being guided out by security. That's when the viral video clip, the one that's been scrubbed from every major platform, reportedly originated. A few seconds of shaky footage showing Candace walking out, lips pressed tight as someone shouted, "You should be ashamed." Within hours, social media was on fire. The hashtags #funeral_drama and #CandaceBand started trending. But then Dave Chappelle did something no one expected. He broke his silence. During a small comedy event in Austin, he dropped a teaser line that sent shockwaves across the internet. You ever seen somebody kicked out of a funeral and still think they're the victim? Man, that's a new level of performance art. The audience laughed nervously. But Dave's tone wasn't playful. He paused, leaned into the mic, and added, "If y'all knew what really happened before that service, you'd understand why she had to go." That was the moment everyone realized Dave knew more than he was letting on. Insiders close to the Chappelle camp claimed he had received a voice memo from someone inside the Kirk family circle, a 47-second clip recorded the night before the funeral. In that clip, Rebecca's voice can reportedly be heard saying, "She wants to turn my husband's death into a headline over my dead body." it was the smoking gun proof that the widow's anger wasn't random. It was targeted. But what exactly did Candace do? What truth had she hinted at in that eerie post days earlier? That's where things start to unravel, because according to what Chappelle eventually revealed, this feud goes far deeper than anyone could imagine. It wasn't just about politics. It wasn't even about ego. It was about a betrayal so personal. It left scars on both families, and it all started with a private conversation that was never meant to go public. A secret Dave claims to have heard firsthand from someone. 'Twas there the night everything changed. 'Twas there the night everything changed. What was that secret? What did Candace say that enraged the widow enough to ban her from the funeral entirely? The next part of this story will blow everything wide open, because once the first twist hit the internet, the story stopped being about a funeral and started becoming about a cover-up. The night before Charlie Kirk's funeral, Nashville's air was heavy with unease. Behind closed doors, something had been brewing, and Dave Chappelle had been tipped off by someone inside the Kirk family. According to his later leaks, it wasn't just grief haunting the widow. It was betrayal. The kind that doesn't fade with time. The kind that burns silently until a breaking point. It all began 6 months before Charlie's passing, when Candace Owens reportedly appeared on a controversial podcast and made a statement that insiders now describe as career-ending if it had gone mainstream. In the middle of a fiery political discussion, she allegedly accused Charlie Kirk of selling out his followers for corporate backing. She claimed he had lost touch with the grassroots and that money had changed him. The quote was clipped, reposted, and went viral, but only for a few hours before mysteriously disappearing from every major social platform. Some fans thought it was censorship. Others thought it was an internal request from Turning Point to suppress the damage. Either way, the words had been heard, and they had cut deep. Behind the scenes, Charlie was devastated. One of his close aides leaked a text exchange between him and another team member where he allegedly wrote, "She turned on me." Of all people, her. After everything I did for her, when Rebecca Kirk saw those messages, insiders say she was livid. To her, Candace wasn't just a colleague. She had been like family. The Kirks had hosted her for dinners, vacations, and even helped her when her first major project faced backlash. Rebecca felt like Candace had spit in their faces publicly, said one person who had worked in their circle. Things worsened when Candace refused to apologize publicly. Instead, she doubled down privately, claiming she was telling uncomfortable truths and that Charlie's empire needed accountability. That single line, insiders say, haunted Rebecca, especially when Charlie's health began deteriorating soon after. Dave Chappelle's leak included something far darker, a voice note Candace had allegedly sent to a friend. Joking, "Watch, they'll make him a martyr before they fix what's broken in that machine." No one knew if it was real. The authenticity remains debated, but the timing of its emergence, days before the funeral, was catastrophic. Now imagine this, the widow sitting in her dark living room, the night before her husband's service, scrolling through a private message that had just leaked to her phone, that voice note. The timing was brutal, the emotions raw. Sources close to the family said she broke down in tears, shouting, she's mocking him even after he's gone. By dawn, Rebecca had made a decision. If she shows up, she leaves. "I don't care who sees it," she reportedly told her sister. That's where Dave Chappelle comes in, a mutual acquaintance someone from a university speech tour had invited. Dave to the service. He wasn't close to the family, but respected Charlie's advocacy for free speech, even if he disagreed politically. But what Dave witnessed, and what he later leaked, changed the entire tone of the story. He described the scene vividly in one of his private comedy sessions, the audio of which was later leaked online. She walked in like it was a movie premiere. Big sunglasses, that click of the heels echoing through the church. You could feel every head turn. And then Boom, the air went cold. The widow froze. She didn't cry. She didn't look away. She stood up. Dave paused before adding, "I've seen tension before, but that was pure grief turning into rage." Within seconds, the argument began. Rebecca shouted across the aisle, accusing Candace of hypocrisy, of profiting off the very man she had publicly humiliated. Witnesses say Candace tried to calm her down, whispering, "I came here for peace." But Rebecca snapped back, "Peace? You turned his death into content before he was even buried." Gasps filled the church. Some attendees rose to their feet. Candace, realizing cameras were out, allegedly gestured for her assistant to stop. Recording confirming that she had indeed brought a small film crew under the pretense of documenting the moment for a tribute. That was the breaking point. Dave's leaked account described it as surreal, like a reality show gone to hell in real life. The widow reportedly lunged forward, restrained by two relatives, shouting, "Get her out! Get her out!" Within minutes, Candace was escorted out of the church. Her heels echoed again, this time heavier, slower. The walk of someone humiliated in front of an entire community. But the story didn't end there. Because just as she stepped outside, her phone buzzed, according to leaked messages later verified by multiple gossip outlets. Candace texted a producer, "She wants war. Fine, let's give them the truth." Hours later, an unlisted video appeared briefly on one of Candace's YouTube backup channels. It was titled "The Real Story They Don't Want You to Hear." Within minutes, it was taken down, but not before hundreds of people screenshotted parts of it in the clip. Candace, wearing the same black funeral dress, said, "Sometimes you pay respects not to the person who died, but to the truth that died with them." That one line detonated across the internet. Twitter threads multiplied. Reddit exploded. News outlets picked it up within hours. Dave Chappelle, realizing what was about to happen, went public with a cryptic Instagram story. "If she's gonna play dirty, I'll tell you what I heard." And that's when the first twist dropped. The one that turned this from a scandal into a full-blown conspiracy. During his next live set at a closed-door club in LA, Dave reportedly played a voice recording through the sound system. It was muffled but audible. The voice of a woman believed to be Candace, saying, "If people knew what really went on behind Turning Point's walls, they'd burn it down." Then, another voice responded, a man. Allegedly, CharlieKirk's.com, deliberate. Almost resigned. "Be careful what you threaten, Candace. You can't control what comes next." The audience gasped. Dave smirked and said only, "Now you see why she wasn't welcome." That single moment, the leaked audio from a private phone call, sent shockwaves through both the political and entertainment worlds. Was it real? Was Dave exposing something bigger than a feud? Or was he using his platform to settle someone else's score? Either way, the narrative had changed completely. Now, it wasn't just about Candace being kicked out of a funeral. It was about a secret conflict inside the conservative movement itself. A supposed power struggle between two icons who had built an empire together. Rumors began to swirl that Candace had planned to reveal confidential information about Turning Point's funding, something that would have destroyed their public image. Others claimed Charlie had planned to cut ties with her completely before his death, that he drafted a statement ending all affiliation. A supposed draft of that statement even leaked online, allegedly from his assistant's laptop, effective immediately. Turning Point USA will no longer maintain any professional relationship with Candace Owens or her media affiliates. If that document was real and no one could confirm it, would explain everything. The tension, the bitterness, and the final outburst at the funeral. But here's the kicker. The moment that flips the entire internet upside down. just as people began condemning Candace. A new thread surfaced on X, posted from an account Candace Owens or Dave Chappelle. By sunrise, both names were trending worldwide. Screenshots of deleted tweets, clipped videos, and private messages were everywhere. Dave's camp insisted he was simply telling the truth people were too afraid to say. Meanwhile, Candace's team released a chilling statement. A comedian with a grudge is not a credible source. Some people weaponize grief to stay relevant. That line hit like a nuclear blast. It painted Dave not as a whistleblower, but as a manipulator feeding off someone else's pain. But Dave wasn't backing down. That same evening, during a surprise appearance at a Nashville open mic, he looked straight into the audience and said, "You ever tell the truth and get accused of making it up?" That's when you know you hit a nerve. The crowd went silent. Cameras rolled. And then, Dave dropped the next bombshell. He claimed he had 2 more voice recordings, both from the week before Charlie Kirk's death, and one of them, he said, made everything make sense. The audience erupted in murmurs. He leaned forward, grinning slightly, and said, "It's always the quiet ones. The ones smiling in pictures, holding secrets like they're holding their breath." Within hours, a clip of his statement went viral. But no one could confirm whether the recordings actually existed until a mysterious Reddit account under the name VoiceLeak88 appeared, posting a 2-minute audio file titled TPUSA Call, The Unheard Conversation. The clip spread like wildfire. It began with what sounded like a tense phone call, a man's voice, calm but strained, believed to be Charlie Kirk's. "You can't expose this, Candace. It'll destroy people who have nothing to do with it." Then, a woman's voice, unmistakably Candace's tone and rhythm. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's time the truth destroys something. There was a pause. The faint hum of static, and then Charlie's voice again. "If you go down this road, you're alone." The call ended abruptly. No one could prove its authenticity, but to the internet, that didn't matter. It sounded real, and that was enough. By the next morning, #VoiceLeak88 was trending at #1. And both Chappelle and Candace's PR teams were in full-blown damage control. Candace denied it completely, posting, "That recording is fake. I never had that conversation." Shame on anyone giving this oxygen, but Dave didn't stay quiet. He went live on Instagram for the first time in years, addressing nearly 500,000 viewers. His words were slow, deliberate, and dripping with accusation. "You know what's funny? Every time I tell a joke, people laugh. But the moment I tell the truth, everybody panics." He paused for effect, eyes squinting toward the camera. "Rebecca called me that night. She was shaking. She said, 'Dave, there's something you need to hear before tomorrow. I heard that tape with my own ears.' And if Candace says it's fake, she's lying to protect herself." The internet lost its mind. Within minutes, a swarm of conflicting narratives took over. Some users insisted Dave was clout chasing, while others accused Candace of suppressing the truth. Conspiracy threads formed by the hour, some claiming Turning Point had deep ties to corporate donors who didn't want their internal disputes exposed. Viral thread read, "Candace tried to blow the whistle. Charlie tried to stop her. He dies mysteriously weeks later. Dave leaks their call." Do the math. It was total chaos, but amidst all the noise, one unexpected player entered the picture. A woman claiming to be a former assistant at Turning Point USA, her TikTok. Under the handle @TruthBeforePeace went viral overnight. With shaking hands, she spoke directly to the camera. "I was there when Candace called Charlie that night. That recording is 100% real. And it wasn't the only one." She paused, eyes darting off screen before whispering, "There's another tape with Rebecca on it." That revelation flipped the entire narrative upside down. If the widow was part of those recordings, Then Dave's story and her emotional outburst at the funeral might not have been grief-fueled justice at all. It could have been a cover dash up. Within hours, new leaks began circulating. A supposed transcript of the second tape, allegedly shared anonymously with a journalist from the Daily Signal, surfaced online. In that transcript, Rebecca reportedly said to Candace, "You don't get to blackmail my husband's memory. If you expose him, you expose me too." The message was chilling. If true, it meant the widow had a reason to silence Candace publicly, and Dave, intentionally or not, had helped her do it. Meanwhile, Candace disappeared from social media entirely. No tweets, no videos, no statements. Her team issued only a short, cold message. "Ms. Owens is taking time to be with her family." No further comment. That silence only fueled more suspicion. Theories exploded, some saying Candace was preparing legal action against Chappelle, others claiming she was in hiding after receiving threats. Then came the most unexpected twist yet: a tech YouTuber posted a 20-minute analysis proving that the VoiceLeak 88 audio file contained edits, tiny gaps, and distortions consistent with splicing. According to his breakdown, at least 12 seconds of the file were manipulated or artificially inserted. Suddenly, the tide began to turn again. Candace's supporters flooded social media, demanding apologies. Hashtags like #FakeLeak and #CancelChappelle began trending. But Dave didn't flinch. That same night, at another closed-door set in Chicago, he doubled down. Audience members recorded snippets of his monologue, and the tone was far darker than before. "I don't care if they call it fake," he said, pacing the stage. "I know what I heard. I know who sent it. And I know why they want me quiet." Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he added, "The widow made me promise to protect her secret. But she never said whose." The audience gasped. What secret? Whose secret? The next morning, a leaked text exchange between Chappelle and a journalist from Rolling Stone surfaced on X in the messages. Dave allegedly wrote, "They're all lying. He didn't die how they said he did." That single sentence ignited the biggest explosion yet. Was Dave suggesting that Charlie Kirk's death wasn't natural? Within hours, new rumors emerged. Theories that the heart failure narrative was a cover for something far darker. Some claimed he'd overdosed. Others whispered about a political plot gone wrong. Even more shocking, a verified paramedic account tweeted and then deleted and the final twist, which no one saw coming, would turn the entire scandal on its head. The internet didn't just react, it erupted. Within 24 hours of Dave Chappelle's disappearance and Rebecca Kirk's sudden flight to Switzerland, social media went into complete meltdown. News channels, influencers, and even rival comedians were weighing in. What began as a funeral feud had evolved into the most polarizing media event of the year, half of America glued to their screens, the other half demanding arrests. The hashtag What Killed Charlie Kirk dominated every feed. Thousands of users were dissecting voice clips, comparing timestamps, matching background noises, and trying to piece together what really happened. Twitter Spaces became nightly battlegrounds where users screamed theories, journalists debated ethics, and alleged insiders dropped cryptic clues. One viral tweet read, "So Dave exposes Candace. Candace exposes the Kirks, and now the widow disappears overseas." This isn't politics anymore. This is a Netflix series waiting to happen. The quote racked up over 1.8 million likes in 12 hours. But the drama wasn't limited to fans. Major celebrities began picking sides. Joe Rogan, during a live stream, said, "If what Chappelle said is real, we're watching one of the biggest media manipulations of our time." Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly tweeted, "This entire thing smells like revenge masquerading as righteousness. Everyone's dirty in this story." And then came the comedians. Chris Rock during a surprise club performance, quipped, "Dave leaks funerals now. Man, I thought Netflix canceled his drama special, not started a new one." The audience laughed nervously, but the undertone was serious. The comedy community was split. Some defended Dave's right to tell the truth, while others called him reckless for using grief as clickbait. Meanwhile, Candace Owens' silence was driving her fanbase insane. Her supporters flooded her old posts with messages. "Speak up, Queen. They're framing you. We know they're editing your words. If you disappear next, we riot." Then, out of nowhere, her podcast channel uploaded a new thumbnail. No title, no description, just a dark screen with white text that read, "Friday, the truth he hid." The internet collectively lost its mind. Every reaction video, every Reddit thread, every TikTok was counting down to that premiere. But before it could even drop, the video was pulled. YouTube flagged it for potential misinformation, pending review. That's when conspiracy culture exploded. People claimed government involvement, corporate censorship, or even a political cover dash-up, and in the chaos, journalists finally started chasing Dave Chappelle's side of the story. A New York Times columnist wrote, "Why would a comedian risk his reputation over a private family dispute? Either he's delusional, or he's holding on to something far more explosive than we realize." Theories ranged from the plausible to the absurd. Some claimed Dave had been secretly recording calls for years. Others swore he'd stumbled on classified documents connected to Turning Point's donors. A fringe corner of Reddit even claimed the widow had confessed to him in person that her secret was more personal than political. Then came the leak that broke everything. A journalist from Vice News published screenshots of an encrypted chat group called After the Show. Among the members, 2 verified comedians, a Nashville security contractor, and a contact labeled simply as RK. In one screenshot, the RK account wrote, "They think I ran away. I didn't. I'm meeting someone who can fix this." Minutes later, Dave Chappelle's Instagram reactivated for the first time in days. He posted a single photo, a grainy image of a Swiss mountain lodge with the caption, "The truth doesn't hide in the snow." The internet froze. Was Dave in Switzerland too? Within hours, flight trackers claimed he'd taken a private jet out of Chicago with an undisclosed destination. TMZ reported that the same lodge in the photo had been reserved under a pseudonym by a woman matching Rebecca Kirk's description. Now the theories reached an insane level of speculation. Fans pieced together a timeline suggesting Dave and Rebecca had met in secret, possibly to exchange evidence. A viral TikTok with 10 million views claimed, "Rebecca didn't flee. She's negotiating, and Dave's helping her trade immunity for the truth." Meanwhile, the entertainment industry started panicking. Netflix, which had an exclusive deal with Dave, released a vague statement. "We are aware of recent events concerning Mr. Chappelle. We are currently evaluating the situation before proceeding with any upcoming content." Translation: They were terrified. And then, Candace finally broke her silence, sort of. Her team released a handwritten letter, photographed and posted to her official X account. It read, "They wanted me silent. They wanted me ashamed. But grief isn't an excuse for lies. The next video you see won't be from me. It will be about me. And it will expose every last person who thought I'd back down." That cryptic message sparked a second wave of online hysteria. The next video, what did that mean? Who was making it? As if on cue, an anonymous YouTube channel named The Insider's Ledger uploaded a new video titled "Unmasking the Funeral Lie." The thumbnail showed half of Dave Chappelle's face fading into half of Candace Owens. Within an hour, the video had over 5 million views in it. A disguised voice claimed to be someone who worked for both sides, the narrator revealed. Screenshots of supposed direct messages, Between Dave and Rebecca discussing leak strategies. 1. Message allegedly from Dave read, "We'll time it right after she posts something cryptic. The crowd will eat it up, if authentic." It was damning, it suggested Dave planned. The leaks for maximum impact, but halfway through, the video came a moment that no one saw, and that's where the final twist begins. When that voice note, the one supposedly from Charlie Kirk himself, hit the internet, everything stopped. For 48 minutes, the world collectively held its breath. The idea that the man at the center of this chaos, the one supposedly dead, might have anticipated everything sent the entire story spiraling into a level of madness that no one was ready for. Every major outlet began running emergency coverage. CNN called it a hoax too detailed to be random. Fox News labeled it the ghost of Charlie Kirk. But online, people weren't laughing. They were terrified. Because the more they analyzed the voice, the more it sounded real. A viral TikTok comparison by a forensic linguist racked up 20 million views in a single night. The conclusion: the voice in the message shares over 97% vocal pattern similarity with Charlie Kirk's verified recordings. If it's a deepfake, it's the best one ever made. But if it wasn't a fake, then what did he mean by the truth wasn't the truth at all? Enter the next leak. 2 days later, a former producer from Charlie's media company appeared on a podcast called The Truth Chamber. And what she said sent chills across the internet. According to her, Charlie had recorded a secret documentary in the months before his death, a project meant to expose corruption inside political commentary circles. The working title: The Manufactured Outrage. The project had reportedly gone dark weeks before his death. Funding cut. Files deleted. Cameras confiscated. But the producer claimed that before Charlie's passing, he'd sent a private encrypted file to someone outside the organization, someone he knew would make noise when the time came. Her exact words: "He told me, if something ever happens to me, Dave will know what to do." The host's eyes widened. "You mean Dave Chappelle?" The producer nodded. "Yes, Dave." Social media went into cardiac arrest. If Charlie had entrusted Dave with his secrets, that meant every leak, every recording, every performance rant was part of something bigger, a chain reaction. Charlie had started on purpose. The internet immediately split again. Half the users declared Dave a whistleblower fulfilling Charlie's dying wish. The other half accused him of playing puppet to a scheme none of them fully understood. Meanwhile, Candace Owens reappeared for the first time since the chaos began. The final footage attached was a single zip file. Inside, one video minus 47 seconds long. It began with the same dimly lit setting, the same shadowed figure from the earlier clip. Only this time, the distortion was gone. The face came into focus. It wasn't Dave. It wasn't Rebecca. It wasn't Candace. It was Charlie Kirk, smiling, breathing. "Alive, you were all right and all wrong," he said calmly. "The truth is what you choose to believe." Welcome to the manufactured outrage. See you soon. The screen faded to black dot, and across the bottom appeared one final message that sent shockwaves through every phone, every TV, every mind watching, streaming worldwide. November 15th. No one could tell if it was a confession, a hoax, or the launch of the most elaborate social experiment in internet history. But one thing was certain: everyone would tune in, because whatever was coming next wasn't just a story anymore. It was a war between truth and illusion, and it was far from over. So, here we are, the world still spinning in chaos, truth and lies tangled tighter than ever. Dave Chappelle vanished into silence. Rebecca Kirk hiding overseas. Candace Owens reborn as the face of defiance. And now Charlie Kirk, the man everyone thought was gone, looking right into the camera and saying, "See you soon." If this was just a show, it's the most dangerous one ever created. If it's real, We're standing at the edge of a story that could change everything we thought we knew about media, manipulation, and truth itself. But what do you think? Was this a masterclass in social commentary? Charlie's final plan to expose the hypocrisy of the system he helped build? Or was it something much darker? A desperate bid for relevance, a fake resurrection designed to sell the biggest documentary of all time? Drop your theories in the comments right now. Tell us, do you believe Charlie is alive, or did someone create the perfect illusion? Was Dave Chappelle the hero who tried to warn us, or the ultimate pawn in someone else's game? And one more question that nobody's brave enough to ask: if the manufactured outrage really drops on November 15th, will you watch it, knowing it might not be entertainment at all, but the final chapter of a global manipulation experiment? Let's make this video explode. Smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the next upload will dissect the hidden codes, the leaked documents, and the footage that was supposedly never meant to see daylight. And remember, in this story, every silence hides a motive, and every truth has a price. The clock is ticking. November 15th is coming. Stay alert. Stay loud. Stay outraged. Raged.